Okay, so we've got ourselves an update in the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit, and I must admit, it's a pretty interesting one. So very recently here, a lawyer who goes by the name of MetaLawman shared an update in the Ripple v SEC case. For all of you that do not know, the last couple of days here, we've basically been waiting for the SEC to file their appeal, or to file more of what their appeal is all about. If you guys remember, I'm not sure when, like a week or two ago, I think last week, the SEC actually filed an appeal. What did that mean? Well, they basically said, we want to go against the decision that was made by the judge with regards to institutional sales. They basically did not agree with the verdict, so they want to redo it. But saying you want to redo it and the actual reasoning and all the complaints, etc., they're two vastly different things. And now the deadline to file that was last night. And that's a good basis to kind of understand what's going on, because there's a few updates I have to share. One from about 15 minutes ago, and this one is from, I'm going to say like 3 or 4 hours ago, not so sure. I could be wrong, but I believe the deadline for the SEC to file the Form C, right, the form they needed to file, has passed at midnight last night. This could indicate, 1, a screw up by the SEC. 2, a technical glitch with the electronic filing system. 3, a decision by the SEC to abandon the appeal, or an argument with Ripple to drop both appeals. C seems unlikely, which is a decision that the SEC will just drop it and they will not pursue it. To me, because an appellant SEC would almost never unilaterally abandon an appeal where a cross appeal has been filed without first reaching an agreement with a cross appellant, Ripple, that they would also drop their cross appeal. And if you don't know, whenever it says cross, it just basically means, let's say there's a verdict, right? We have our verdict. If one of the parties says, I don't agree with that, they appeal it. So they're like, this whole verdict, we don't really agree with that. But the other side can again kind of say that we don't agree with your disagreements or something of the sort. Otherwise, the appellant, SEC, faces the worst of all worlds, only downside exposure from the cross appeal. My calculation of the deadline follows from a recognition that the notice of appeal was filed on October 2nd. The filing date is what matters under the federal appellate rules. Intervening holidays and weekends don't change the deadline. Ramifications: the Form C itself says that failure to file it by the deadline means the appeal will be dismissed. The Second Circuit's local rules, however, say that failure to file the Form C by the deadline means the appeal may be dismissed. So that's a crucial difference. Again, not legal advice. And there's been a couple of discussions in the comments section about what this all might mean. However, 2 things. First of all, 𝗓𝗓, about 10 hours ago, posted this. New. According to this document filed in the Second Circuit, the SEC's notice of appeal was filed the 2nd, but not docketed until the 4th. So by that standard, the real deadline could actually be Friday, aka tomorrow. Now, MetaLawman says this pertains to a different form, not the Form C. And then there's also a little bit of a discussion about, is it filing date or docket date? Again, the filing date basically means whenever they sent it in, so to speak. And this docket date is when it was quote unquote registered for, let's just say, us all to see. Eleanor says it was indeed the filing date from where the 2 weeks start, but the document says 14 days from this notice, which again means it's the 4th because that's the date that it says on the notice. Fred, another lawyer, then said, yes, this is correct. He was not aware of this docketing notice either until 𝗓𝗓 pointed it out. Now, as I said, I've got an update for you, though. You might not like it. You might like it. I don't know. It depends on what you like, I guess. But a little bit ago, the SEC came out with this. And again, it's whatever, right? So, heard back from the SEC this morning, says Eleanor Trent. According to a spokesperson, the appeal is proceeding normally, and the documents will be filed publicly soon. To which Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, had to say, proceeding normally for an agency that makes up their own rules as they go. Fred says, oh crap, we miscalendared the deadline and gotta get that filed now, because it kind of seems like they really did forget. Or maybe they didn't forget. There's also a possibility that they had no real good just filing. I mean, let's just say I've set a deadline for something. Well, let's just say a deadline is set for an appointment and I got to write a whole freaking file for it, but I have no idea what to write. Then the deadline is going to pass because I have no freaking idea. And let's say that's also a project. That's a whole group. Knowing that, again, within a few months, my whole agency will be disbanded, knowing that so much money is on the line here, it might be quite difficult. I mean, we all disagree with the SEC's choices here, but, looking from their brain, kind of putting myself in their position, this must be horrible to sit there thinking, damn, I got no good reasons to go against any of this. The last couple of months have already been agonizing because we keep losing, and now I got to make up another reason to probably lose again. So if you think about it from that perspective, can you really blame them for not filing things on time? Now, since we're on the topic of the SEC, do you guys remember that a while back the SEC's Twitter account got hacked? Well, over the last hour or so, it's been released that the guy behind it has been apprehended, I believe. Well, let's take a look. So, counsel conspired with others to take unauthorized control of the SEC's X account. So, apparently a guy 25 years old of Athens, Alabama, was just arrested this morning because back in January, he took over the SEC's account. And since they posted something and the value of Bitcoin increased by $1,000, if you think about it, this is an extremely big deal. You might think, oh, but he just hacked an account. It was a government account, but he hacked it. Nothing really too crazy happened. Matter of fact, prices just went up a little bit. But if you do think about the ramifications of a whole asset class going up by a pretty solid percentage over your hack, which could have, theoretically speaking, manipulated the markets in an incredible way, you potentially caused billions of dollars worth of damages or profits. Well, he literally did billions of dollars worth of damages to people from a certain perspective. I don't think they're going to take this too lightly. I mean, it would make sense for them to make an example out of the guy so nobody tries to hack the SEC account again, or matter of fact, any government agency to talk about crypto stuff. Side note, I've covered Ripple stuff, XRP stuff for so long. Still, whenever I apply to go to any of the Ripple events, they never accept my application. Just wanted to quickly let you guys know that actually, little fun fact, I don't really like Ripple as a company too much. You know that? Did you know that? Like XRP as a currency, I think it makes a whole lot of sense. And again, I still do believe it will do very well. It just makes a lot of sense. But most of my interactions with Ripple have actually not been that amazing. There's been one guy that I met that was really cool, but for the most part, it's not, like people think, for example, I get paid by Ripple. I paid 0 cents to talk about this currency. Just so you guys know that, I can publicly here say, most of the ones I met didn't even like him. And the funny part is that does not matter. Literally, one of the most crucial things I always say is even if you hate a company, you hate a currency, you can still make money on it. And people very often have this disdain for certain things. There's two ways to see it, though. One is ethically. You can the way that some people do business is only do business with things you love, you really appreciate their attitude, etc., etc. And the other one is don't get emotionally involved in anything. And if we're talking about real personal business, I stand firmly with the first one, which is if they're bad peoples, I stay away. When it comes to this cryptocurrency, random investment stuff, you can call me anything to my face, but if I think your token will do well, you better bet I'm buying that. Anyway, so the last little while here, I've been focusing on exactly when this appeal could come out, but since the SEC just updated us all that it will just take a few hours, I guess we'll see exactly what they've got to say at that point. And we can go into all the different little pieces of everybody waiting, etc., etc., but since the SEC responded, we won't know if it was too late until a few days from now. We won't know what exactly they're going to talk about until they file it. Again, perhaps in an hour, perhaps in 1 day, perhaps in 2 days. Perhaps they were already too late. Since they were too late anyway, they'll just extend it until they're done. Perhaps there's some special rule we did not know. Perhaps it's a matter of them filing it and it was too late and it's instantly dismissed. Perhaps they file it too late and it may be dismissed. We'll have to see over the next few days. Just wanted to give you guys an update that everybody, like hundreds of thousands of people, literally hundreds of thousands of people have been waiting on this, have been looking at it. This post here got almost 500,000 views over the past 12 hours. All I can say is let's see what comes out. And yeah, I want to thank you guys again for always sticking with me here on the channel. Let me know down below if you guys are still excited. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, you can also give my Instagram a follow. A link will be down below. It's the DustyBC, as you can see right there. Just give it a little follow. And yeah, that's about it.